guys, welcome back to my vlog channel. If this is your first time viewing, hi. My name is Tiffany. I am a YouTube vlogger in the making, trying to make all of my little dreams come true in my reality and in my world as someone who is a full-time veterinarian, trying to also find some peace and clarity outside of work. So it's nice to meet you, and thank you for clicking on this video. So I'm sure, as many of you know by the title of this video, it's time for me to address what I feel like has been like the big elephant in the room for the last maybe year or so of development. And sometimes I've been told by family that I overshare, that I say too much, that I don't need to tell everything, but I really just feel like part of my purpose on this earth, I feel like, is to influence, to share, to talk, to tell my story and speak my truth, as weird as that might sound. And my biggest thing is, over the last several months, I would say starting November of 2021, I really went through a very big spiritual shift, spiritual change, and I attribute it to what I believe is fate. God working in my life and bringing me to where I am. So I had a friend, shout out to you, Sandra, who wanted to know a little bit more about like, how do I balance Christianity with my crystals? And as you guys saw in Vlogmas Day 3, if you haven't seen Vlogmas Day 3, check it out. I'll link it up above. Vlogmas Day 3, I ended the night kind of on a negative note. I wasn't feeling well, and I brought crystals out and put those next to my bed and went to sleep. And so my friend was like, could you go into a little bit more detail about what that means to you and how do you balance that with being a Christian? And I was like, ooh, this is like the nudge, or should I say nudge, that I needed to say something about this, because as many of you know, I am a Christian. I am a devout Christian. I love God, I love the Lord, and I also have this other side to me of like the metaphysical and the occult, as people would call it. I feel like in November of 2021, when astrology first came up in the algorithm on my YouTube, I kind of was like, oh yeah, I've always kind of been into astrology, always liked looking at my zodiac sign. I'm a Cancer, by the way, and I was just always interested in that, but I didn't know that there was more to it. I didn't know about rising signs, moon signs, things like that. And as I started learning more about my rising sign, I started learning more about who I was inside. I'm a Pisces rising. And one of the main reasons why Pisces is on this earth and Jesus was like the beginning of the Piscean era. One of the things that we're on this earth to do is to be like a spiritual teacher, maybe a guru, maybe a pastor, maybe a missionary, maybe a priest, or maybe an astrologer or a tarot card reader, a psychic or a palm reader, or someone who just kind of helps others through spiritual works. And so over time, I saw that my astrological signs that I was born under, because, you know, to me, it all is encompassing. God created me to be born on my birthday and to be a Cancer sun and a Pisces rising and experience all of these things that I'm experiencing. As I've grown over this last year or so of following my new spiritual walk, I have found a way that I understand that God has a fated road for us and he has like a permissible road for us. And they teach you that in church, that you have free will and you have God's divine will. And it's up to you to decide what you want to do, what you want to pursue, which way you want to go. So one of the things that I always prided myself in is just really being a strong follower of God, being spiritual. I grew up Pentecostal. For those of you who don't know, Google it and, you know, check it out. But I grew up Pentecostal, and I grew up in a very devoutly Christian, conservative household. And I upheld those morals, and I still uphold those morals. But as I've gotten older, I'm 30 years old now, I have found my own way. I have found my own walk with God. And that does include some things of the metaphysical realm. I know I have family members that watch my videos, and I feel like it has been a journey to finally, what I call, speak my truth. And so today I'm taking a risk on maybe upsetting my family, which really hurts me because I'm a family person and I want nothing more than to be a good daughter, a good sister, a good wife, you know, a good grandchild, a good niece. But sometimes I feel like I haven't been able to be myself. My cats are just losing their minds. But I haven't been able to be myself for most of my life. And how I've turned it to some of my friends is I was like the black sheep of my family. Now don't get me wrong, I'm in no way like the proverbial black sheep. I feel like in a herd of black sheep, I would be the gray sheep of the black sheep, okay? So I'm not saying that I am just this, I don't know, this black sheep, but I've always been different. And I've always felt like I've been a challenge, or just everything that I always was like drawn to or attracted to was a little bit different than the training, as we call it, with children, the training that I was given as a child, and the expectations and the, how do I say it, just kind of the way in which I was brought up to be. I never could like fit the mold completely. There was always a little bit something different about me, whether Tiffany has on the red lips or whether Tiffany decided to finally wear pants, because I wasn't allowed to wear pants growing up, or you know, my mom wasn't super against it, but I got a second ear piercing when I was 20, yeah, for a birthday, and I don't even wear it, but just I always kind of like lived life a little bit on the edge, just a little bit, where I wasn't quite the way that I was brought up to be. And in a lot of ways I kind of lived in my shadow, or in a shadow of who I really was and who I was to become. I was very focused, driven, intelligent, smart, gifted. You know, I play piano, I tinker at the guitar, I can play a flutophone, I can sing, I can play an organ. I'm coming to find out that God gave me a lot of gifts that can help others, and not only myself, and that's part of like my journey. So bringing it back to kind of the elephant in the room, my biggest thing is that as I was trying to find myself over these last few years, like becoming 30, and you guys have seen like, you know, the This Is 30 series that I put together, 3 videos of kind of catching you up to where I am. I've gone through so much transformation, and God has really blessed me in so many ways. He's blessed me financially. He's blessed me in my career. He's blessed me in love. He's blessed me with my family. He's blessed me with a beautiful home. He's blessed me with healthy and wonderful animals and a productive work environment. And every time I've come into an obstacle in my life, He's guided and pivoted me wherever I needed to go. And so in November of 2021, when astrology came into my life, it was like God ripped off the veil of this person that I used to be. And He said, there's more to you. I never took God away from who I was, but He showed me a way to communicate with Him more authentically, to understand myself more authentically, to walk in my purpose. Because I won't say not everyone wants to know their purpose, but I don't think that everyone on this earth is like dying to know what is their purpose beyond their 9 to 5. Some people, you know, really enjoy their job and they don't really seek more. They just want to make money, they want to survive, and they don't really ask questions. And I'm not that person. As a kid, I was always like, why? And my mom can attest to this. My mom used to always get like frustrated with me for asking why. But as I grew up, I understood it was like the scientist in me. I wouldn't just be like, oh, it is what it is. It never made sense. It had to make sense, or it at least needed to have some kind of purpose or some kind of like, okay, that makes sense. I just never took things really at face value, like for better or for worse, I guess. And as I delved more into astrology, it taught me about who I was, how my day would go, how my week would go, how my month would go, even how my year might go, kind of like ways I could shine or benefit. And it was all based on the universe that God created. Now people go, oh, everyone's always saying the universe, and it's not a praise to the universe as in like, oh, universe, thank you, you know. God is what he is. In Exodus, he said, I am that I am. When Moses asked him in the fiery bush, who are you? He is all encompassing. He created the sun, the moon, and the stars. He created me to be born specifically when I was. He knew I had a purpose. And so all of this kind of comes back to the crystals, right? He created the elements of the earth from the periodic table. If you don't know what a periodic table is, I'll pop it in right here. You probably learned about it in chemistry class and never thought anything about it. He made all of those metallic elements, those different, just particles that come together, the minerals that make the crystals, that then have these magical, metaphysical effects on our body. He gave us the medicinal herbs to heal ourselves, and now we only believe that taking pharmaceutical medicine is the way to live. And don't get me wrong, I am a doctor. I literally prescribe pharmaceuticals day in and day out. But do I also know that there is something very tangible and real about Eastern medicine? Yes, because God created these things and put these things on the earth so that we as his children could benefit. So I have found that in my time of just really focusing on myself this last year and healing my childhood trauma over the last maybe 2 or 3 years, and I'm still working on it, I am not done. It has helped me to find inner peace, strength, understanding. I don't blame my parents for anything that I experienced as a child because it was all part of the process. It was all part of who I was to become. And we all go through things in life to, in my opinion, become a better human being because of it. And one of the biggest things that I've learned over the last year is it's so important to speak your truth. I want my parents, my family, my loved ones, my friends to love and respect me for being a respectable person, but I also need to address that I have spiritually changed. But that doesn't mean that I don't love God and that I don't serve God and I don't have a relationship with God. Little Tiffany at 9 years old had opinions that have changed, and as a 30-year-old woman, I can no longer not speak my truth. I believe there's so much that I am to give to others and to share with the world that God has instilled and bestowed upon me that I just have to speak my truth. And this is the first time that I'm doing it. And I'm nervous to put this video out, but I'm gonna wear my Billie Eilish sweatshirt that I got at her tour because it gives me comfort. And I'm gonna wear my red lipstick because it gives me confidence. And I'm gonna be who I am. And not at the expense of anyone's happiness, not at the expense of my own happiness, because I really feel like I'm walking more and more every day in my truth. At my job, the conversations that I have with the men and women that I work with every day, it's just, God is showing me there's so much more to you being a veterinarian than you just being a veterinarian. Yes, the animals need you. Yes, the people there do too. And that's what I'm coming to find out. It's funding my dreams, my reality. It's given me some of my best friends and countless relationships that I wouldn't have had. It's allowed me to grow as a human being and to become a better leader, to be the person that everyone goes to every day for everything. Woo! It can be a bit intimidating, but I really do believe that the challenges that becoming a veterinarian brought into my life also were part of my spiritual journey, because being a veterinarian honestly has been like the worst and best decision of my life. It has taught me what I don't tolerate, what I won't do, how I don't want to live my life, but it's also given me such joy and love and purpose at the same time. And it's allowed me, through all the tumultuous things I've gone through as a veterinarian, it's allowed me to really have to seek God for answers. I've had to come to God and be like, I literally cannot deal. And then watch my astrology forecast from my favorite astrologer, Rux. I'll link her below as well. And watch my monthly horoscope and say, okay, I'm gonna have probably a rough month or a week. And then things are gonna get better. And then this planet's gonna transit this house in my chart. And then this is gonna happen. And then this planet's gonna come into this chart or this house in my chart. And then that's gonna happen. But at the end of the day, God has like this purpose for all of us. And it's not a singular purpose either. I think I was always on the like bandwagon of like, we have a singular purpose in this life, but we don't. I believe we have different bits and pieces of different areas in our lives where we're supposed to be giving and taking, and we have so much that we need to give. I literally like explained to a friend that when I became a veterinarian, I was like, I was always trying to reach my goal of being a vet. It was the top of the mountain. And then I reached the top of the mountain and I said, this is the top of the mountain. This is what I worked all these years for, over 10 years for. And then I said, no, this is just the beginning of the mountain climb, and there's more for me. And I believe the same for you. If you're watching this and you're feeling like maybe you don't fit in with your family, and I'm not saying I don't fit in, but I definitely beat to my own drum. If you feel like you don't really always go with the status quo, maybe you're afraid of what others might think and you're just trying to live a life that is pleasing but not speaking your truth, I encourage you to try to do that. Because I've been honestly shedding the skin of Tiffany, but in a lot of ways, like bringing it back to animals because I love animals so much. When a snake sheds his skin, he doesn't become a different snake. He just kind of transforms and lets go of something that he used to have, and then he has something brand new, but he is still himself. And as you molt and you change, you metamorphosize. I'm going through the metamorphosis, but I'm past the chrysalis phase. I've been in the chrysalis phase for a long time. And for those of you who don't know what metamorphosis is, again, back to biology. I'm a science girl, what can I say? The butterfly basically starts as a caterpillar, goes into its cocoon or chrysalis, and then emerges as a butterfly. But one of the most beautiful things about it is they don't just fly off the perch immediately, and I think that's where I'm at. They have to kind of let their wings dry out and expand, and then they take off. And they're still not steady completely when they take off. They still have to grow and learn how to fly and flap their wings. And then they find other butterflies somehow. I always find that interesting about animals. Like, they're born solitary most of the time, but they always find their own. And I'm in the search for people who also are like me. And I hope this video reaches people who are like me, and I can build a community with those people. But yes, I have dabbled in new things that worry my family, like tarot card readings, astrology, but I really feel like it's all a connection to the divine, and that's always who I've been. I feel like God has endowed me with intuition, hands that are healing. They play piano, they do surgery, they feel animals all day for masses and bumps and lumps and things that can be wrong. And I feel like I also cook really well, and you have to use your hands for that. And so I feel like in many ways I'm a healer. And for those of you who know the movie Encanto, I liken myself a lot to the mom. I don't remember her name, but she makes food and she heals people through that. That's the honest truth. That's the elephant that's been in the room. If you've been watching my stories on Instagram, you have probably seen me post occasionally like my crystals and my cards and my singing bowls, and you have probably seen me being maybe a little bit of a different version than who you're used to me being, but I am still me. I find God in all of these things. I am not confused. I am not double-minded. I have expanded my mind, and I'm here to help. I've even expanded to the point of having cats, which, I don't know, even a year ago, this was not a thing. And I just feel like in a lot of ways, I've just really transformed who I am as a person, and I've been open, and I've been more aware of who I am as a person. And because of that, there's been such joy and happiness and peace. This is my big boy Jupiter. He's my big boy. But there's just been so much peace that I feel in my life. But it's weird because I feel like I have found this peace, but I've been scared to talk about it. And so thus my peace has just kind of been shared internally and kind of just with the few friends that I have nearby. I want to share this with you all, and I want to encourage you. You know, this is just something that I'm going through, and maybe if you're going through something similar, we can all relate. And I hope this helps somebody to decide to speak their truth, to say what they need to say without fear. I was watching the Meghan and Harry special. Oh God, Meghan and Harry speaking their truth was admirable. It's probably gonna get them some backlash, but it's gonna help so many people. And I know that that's what this video is gonna do. I just want you guys to know that I'm okay. If you've been worried about me, if you've been nervous to say something to me about anything that you have noticed on my profile, on my Instagram, on my Facebook, my YouTube, I love you, and I hope you can love me for me. And this is me finally addressing the elephant in the room. And I'm thankful that Sandra posed that question of how do I bridge the gap between God and kind of the occult, as they call it. You have to choose the light, and you have to choose what's right for you. And I haven't chosen anything negative, anything, you know, that might be looked at as demonic, or just, I don't even play around with that. So I hope that this has shed some light on how I bring it all together, as well as giving you guys an update on my life. But just remember that God created us all. I met a lady recently, and I was, you know, doing a euthanasia. She was Buddhist, and she had a very thick accent, and she said that she just needed to know if it was time. I told her that it was, and she said she wanted to say a prayer over her dog. I was thinking she was Christian, and I thought that was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard someone say in the last few moments of their dog's life. And I was like, oh yeah, totally, like, you know, say your prayer, I'll give you your time, and whenever you're done, just, you know, let me know and I'll be right back in. And she said, are you Buddhist? And I said, no, I'm Christian, but we all believe in the same God. And she's like, I know. And then we hugged, and it just all made sense. I hope that this message finds you well, that you can have an open heart, that you can see that God is really moving in this earth right now, and He is changing so much. One of my cousins posted a quote. She said, maybe we were born for such a time as this. And I really do believe that it's all just a part of the process, and we're all going through this together, and we're all learning and going through trials and tribulation. But I believe that God just wants us to love one another, no matter your race, creed, color, your religion, your background. He wants us to just all love and be loved. And I live a good life, and I know God sees that, and I have a lot of peace in my life now. I used to just be very scared of going to hell, and not that you shouldn't be. Like, if that's what you believe, that's what you believe. But I believe that God is a good God, and He's not gonna just like condemn you if you do one wrong thing. He loves you so much, and He made all of these things for us. Crystals, the sun, the moon, the stars, our zodiac, and what you will into your life will be. So I'll leave you guys at that. I could literally talk about this forever. I don't want to bore you. I'm living in light and love, and God is still an ever-present part of my life, and even more so with a lot of the new spiritual practices that I've adopted. I've said my piece, and I feel good. I feel good, and I hope the same for you. So I hope you have a great day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, with your family or alone. Happy holidays. Bye, guys.